What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingDudes.com. Welcome back to another one of our previews. Well, it's a big one at Santa Anita coming up on Saturday, March 1st. Race 8 on the card. It is the San Felipe Grade 2 event, going a mile and a 16th, $300,000. The purse. It is another small field like we've come, kind of used to seeing at Santa Anita in Southern California. Just a field of 6, but we do have 3 absolute legitimate Kentucky Derby prospects in this field. So it's a lot of excitement. Unfortunately, 2 of the 3 legitimate prospects are Bob Baffert horses. He does have 3 of the 6 in the race again. Something, again, we've grown used to seeing there at Santa Anita. But it is what it is. We'll try to decipher it and try to decide who's going to come out on top. All right, I'll put the field up on the screen for you now. Like I said, field of 6. Going to be just a very fascinating race. And we'll lead off with the Bob Baffert horse. We're going to lead off with the number 1 Mellencamp. This horse is still a maiden. Probably, they begged Baffert to enter something here, so this field would look a little bit better, and 6 horses instead of 5. But look, Mellencamp, like I said, still a maiden. Beaten twice by Journalism. Baeza beat him last time out. That's a pretty good horse, a horse that they think's got a future, may go to the Santa Anita Derby after that maiden win. So, look, I say no shot for this horse. I don't really think this horse is going to show a lot of speed. I think he's just kind of going to sit mid-pack, and I don't know if he's good enough. Maybe he can, sneak up and get third if one of the big horses don't fire. So, it is what it is as far as that goes with Mellencamp. Probably just entered to try to get to 6 horses. The number 2 is Journalism, and this is a horse that I think everybody is ready to see. Broke the maiden 2 races back by 2.5, going 1 mile there at Del Mar. That was his first race, going 2 turns, and then stretched out to a mile 16th on the Los Alamitos Futurity and was able to win by 3.5 lengths. And look, that was a field that day that had a horse named Gaming, who has just kind of went the opposite way. He was not good in the Los Al Futurity. He was not good when he shipped over to Oaklawn either for the Southwest. So, that was kind of just a no-show, but he did beat Getaway Car by 3.5 lengths. Of course, Getaway Car came back to win the Sunland Derby in his next start, and I thought ran pretty well. And really, I think Getaway Car runs pretty well every time. He's just not like an elite horse, but he's a nice little benchmark, and Journalism just dominated him. So, look, I think everybody's really, really excited for this horse by Curlin out of an Uncle Mo mare. Mopatism is the actual mare of the horse, and was a good horse in her own right. So it's exciting. I don't know that a mile and a 16th is going to where we see like his absolute best. I think a mile and an eighth, mile and a quarter is where we're really going to see him. He's also coming off of a 77-day layoff. So there are things to kind of be worried about with him as well. But he's a pretty darn good horse. We'll see if he closes up and gets the job done here. Going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. He is one that comes from way out of it. And Baffert can kind of control this pace like he can with most races out here. And so maybe that's going to hurt Journalism a little bit. We'll kind of see what happens. The number 3 is Barnes. And this is the other heavily hyped horse in this race, the showdown between Journalism and Barnes. Barnes went over to Churchill Downs for debut, and it was a tough race. He won by a head. He got a good education out of that race. Next time out, just a dominant effort in the San Vicente, just in another planet from the rest of the horses, won by 5.5, and just kind of never saw another horse once he got going. So stretching out to 2 turns for the first time. His horses buy into Mischief out of American Pharaoh mare. Look, I don't know. I've heard people say, I don't know, maybe he's a sprinter. I think a mile and 16th well within his realm. And like I said, Baffert can control the pace. Just kind of feel like this one's going to be the one on the lead. So number 3, Barnes, probably going to be tough to run down in this short field of 6. The number 4 is Rodriguez. Mixed signals right now with Rodriguez. Let's look at the good. 2 races back when stretching out for the first time. He wins by 7 lengths. He beat Baeza, who came back to win, like we were talking about, crushed Mellencamp and some others there at Santa Anita. So all systems were go. I actually picked Rodriguez to win the Robert B. Lewis because I thought he would get out in front and take him gate to wire. That trip was given to Citizen Bull, who got out in front and took him gate to wire. If you watch back the Robert B. Lewis, Rodriguez is in like a good stalking position. He drops out of it abruptly, and then he comes running again when they switch him to the outside. I thought, looking back, it's like that was a weird race, but it wasn't exactly a bad race. And then let's kind of look at some other positives here. Matticat Road. Matticat Road came back to run second in the Rebel Stakes. Rodriguez was well ahead of him that day in the Robert B. Lewis. I mean, this horse, since the Robert B. Lewis, has been working very fast. I think he's in with a big time shot here. He gets Flavien Prat, so Hernandez will jump on Barnes. You got to think Hernandez rode both these horses last time out. He chose Barnes, so there's a negative, right? But the replacement, quote unquote, replacement jockey is Flavien Prat, so there's a positive. So I really like Rodriguez here. I do. I think he's going to be tough. So we'll see. He's interesting. I think he's a little bit green. I think he's got some things to figure out, but he's also lightly raced, so that's kind of understandable. All right, let's keep going. We'll go quickly here. The number 5 is Smooth Cruisin'. This horse was beat 8.5 last time out by Barnes. Yeah, look, I don't know about this one. Stretching out to 2 turns for the first time. Got a pedigree that it could be okay, but yeah, just a little bit light on the numbers. And like I said, just really no kind of threat to Barnes last time out. And then the number 6 is Berlin Wall. This is a horse that is still a maiden. So we have 2 maidens in this field. So it is kind of laughable. There's just nothing out there that will ever enter. It's not to go on a rant about this, but it's always odd to me. Like when you watch Del Mar racing in the summer, there's like when they run their maiden special weights for 2-year-olds, it's always pretty full. There's at least 9 horses, 10 horses, 12 horses sometimes. And then you get to Santa Anita for these preps and there's nobody. It's weird. Anyway, Berlin Wall, still a maiden, Calbred, and has been in 2 Calbred maidens and didn't win. And I should correct myself. He did technically win his last race, but he was beaten a length and a half, but he got moved up because of a disqualification. So I will backtrack and say he's not really a maiden. He does have a win. But as far as like, I don't know about you guys, but like when I'm handicapping a race and I see a horse that hasn't crossed the wire first, I still kind of view them as a maiden from a handicapping standpoint. And that's kind of, should backtrack and say that's kind of what I meant. But anyway, no interest in him. It'd be an incredible upset if he was able to get the job done. So look, I'm going to take next time with journalism. I want to see him run this time. I don't think it's impossible that he wins this race. But I long layoff, field of 6 horses, doesn't really suit him. I think if he does win this race, I think he's a monster. I think we could probably say, well, I'll backtrack. I think if journalism wins, we could say he's a monster, or we might say, well, maybe Barnes, Rodriguez, maybe they weren't that good. So again, I think he's kind of up against it. If he loses, I'm not really going to be upset with him or whatever, if he doesn't run well at all, maybe. But to me, I just kind of want to see journalism run well in the lane, make up ground. If he gets second, no big deal, right? So I'm not going to bet him this time. So it came down between Barnes and Rodriguez for me. I just had to go with Barnes. I just feel like Hernandez had the choice of who he wanted to ride, and it was Barnes. He chose Barnes. Wouldn't be shocked if it goes either way. I think multi-race, I'll just use the 3 and the 4 and just try to go from there on it. I just think Baffert's going to kind of control this one. And maybe journalism in the Santa Anita Derby gets a bigger field. Sometimes we've seen the Santa Anita Derby draw a little bit bigger of a field, and he gets a better setup, gets more distance, things like that. But I think this setup specifically does favor the 3 Barnes and the 4 Rodriguez. And I'll take the number 3 Barnes on top, because that looks like that's who Hernandez has kind of chose to ride. All right, guys, that'll do it for our preview of the San Felipe Stakes live from Santa Anita, Saturday, March 1st. There'll be race 8 on the card. All right, hit that like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe. You really like it. Want to get alerting time we do videos like this. And most importantly, good luck if you're betting Santa Anita on Saturday.